The 2010s have been a decade full of reboots. Which has got me wondering, are they going to reboot Back to the Future? Now, I'm a pretty big Back to the Future fan. I have a giant DeLorean tattooed on my arm. I proposed to Tyler on October 21st, 2015 because it's the day that they travel to in Back to the Future Part 2 with a time travel themed proposal. So I've been wondering what would happen if Back to the Future got rebooted. And I realized that I have one sentence for Disney or Sony or whoever decides they want to remake Back to the Future. Keep your damn hands off it!
So in fairness, Robert Zemeckis has said over his dead body and that he's going to block that for as long as he can, and that he said that even if he dies, Bob Gale will also do the same.
So what do we think it would look like if they did? God forbid.
God forbid.
God forbid.
Perish the thought.
God forbid. If it
forbid.
should happen, what would it be like?
I'm going to start off with Doc Brown would definitely be like David Tennant, or like if David Tennant's not relevant enough anymore, like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh my god, he would be such a Benedoodle cucumber snickerdoodle.
And just to be clear, like I'm saying, like if they made it now,
yeah.
If both Bob and Rob both kicked it tomorrow, like what would this look like? Doc Brown wouldn't be like Christopher Lloyd, this crazy old man looking guy.
He would be like one of those hot nerdy guys that's like all the nerd girls are like, oh my god, his voice gets me pregnant.
But like in the movie, it'd be like, oh, that's weird old Doc Brown.
Oh yeah, he'd be like super weird, but the audience would
all be
hot.
like, he's hot. What does that
It would be
even...
like when my arch nemesis JJ decided to make Benedict Cumberbatch play Khan in his terrible Star Trek fan fiction movie adaptation. Where even though Khan was frozen 200 years before this timeline would have even happened,
Khan should have been the exact same
somehow
guy.
he's still white!
Why are you white?
Marty, though, Tom Holland.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on
Tom
Tom
Holland
Holland.
would be Marty, yeah.
And I know, I've seen this around, people claiming that the movie was gonna happen with him in it, which is I think a hoax. Yeah. It was a hoax, but apparently it was based on the fact that he based his Peter Parker on Marty McFly.
Oh my god, that's so cute! But here's what I'm thinking, is in the 80s, right? The 80s were weird. So in the 80s we could see a teenager like Marty just hanging out with Doc for no good reason and be fun. I feel like today's audiences would just question that too hard. Like there'd be too many hot take articles that come out. There'd be too many...
What are Marty and Doc doing? Why are they friends?
Yeah, there'd be too many people
Is something weird going on?
Too many people just overthinking the shit out of it, right? Like, how did this happen?
Everyone's gotta get a hot take.
Yeah, exactly. Marty is gonna, like, they're gonna make some awful, stupid-ass thing happen where, like, Marty was, like, this sort of bad boy, or, like, he's a good kid at heart, but has a little bit of a teenage rebellious streak.
Sure.
And he gets caught, like, sneaking into Doc's lab, maybe to use that guitar amplifier.
Sure.
And plus that would be, like, some fan service for the
be
people.
like, oh, look, guys, it's the giant amplifier. Except it would be 10 times as big, because that's how you do references these days.
Yeah, so he'd sneak in and the audience would be like, I recognize that! Oh my god, I'm familiar with it!
I know what that is!
And then Marty would start playing something, and then Doc would catch him and be like, oh, you delinquent, you broke my amplifier, now
you gotta work for me as an assistant to pay it off! Gotta show it all on screen or the audience will be confused!
Same thing like with Marty and Jennifer, they won't be able to have them just have a nice relationship.
Like is there before the movie starts? Like they're gonna get in a relationship
already in a
the
relationship.
movie?
They'll get in a relationship because Marty will be like, he's interested in science, that's why he's sneaking into the lab, and like Jennifer's also interested in science. Perhaps she founded the Hill Valley High School's Women in STEM Club.
Let's talk about Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Okay. Jennifer.
Okay.
Jennifer. Okay.
Now we love Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Okay.
Jennifer. Okay.
Now we love Jennifer. I loved in the original Back to the
Jennifer's
Future.
great.
Tyler thinks Jennifer's hot, and I'm not even jealous.
Jennifer, there's a couple things here. First of all, they would totally amp up Jennifer's role. Like Jennifer she's there.
She's a side character.
She's a side character.
Yeah.
She's mostly there to drive Marty's plot.
Because Jennifer gives him her phone number, that's the paper that has the clock
Right.
tower on it. So it's a plot point as well.
Yeah.
That, like, he needs his girlfriend's phone number, so that's why he has the clock tower flyer.
Which is a great little thing. Perfect
Jennifer
excuse.
makes sense in the plot.
So
Right.
Jennifer, instead of just like being in a couple of scenes, they would try to like make it. You know how in the oh god, we're gonna bring it back to the Star Trek reboot, but they made Uhura like a more major character, even though Uhura was like a side character at best.
I love
in Star
original
Trek.
series Uhura, and
Sure,
you
she's
can
great.
pry her from my cold dead hands. JJ, we got beef.
Jennifer isn't just a side character who
Right.
exists to set up the plot. She's a major, like, she's a science nerd, and like Marty and her and Doc would all be in the same place at some point, and Doc would be explaining some complicated science thing, and she would be like hopping on it and being like, "Oh, I totally understand what you're talking about," and Marty would be like, "What?
Yeah,
I don't
she'd
understand."
like have a bunch of like quips.
Yeah, she'd be quipping
She'd have all the
about how
one-liners.
smart she is.
Yeah. So I support, like, I'm all for women in STEM, but I don't think it needs to be forced, is what I'm saying. Like, I like it when it's a natural part of the plot.
They would do
if
it
it's
just
forced,
for the
just
points.
for the just to
It's just
pander to publicity. That's actually quite insulting to me as a female member of the species.
They would like play up her big role in all the interviews leading up to the movie's
Oh,
release.
yeah.
They would be like, "Oh, in this movie, Jennifer is such a cool, badass
Oh, yeah.
woman in STEM. She's so smart and interesting and sexy." And then in the movie, she'd be in it for like 5 minutes.
Okay, this is funny. The whole time we've been talking about Jennifer, and even though we haven't like discussed what she looks like at all, I've been like subtly picturing her in my head as Zoe Saldana, Reboot Uhura,
I can
or
see that.
Gamora from Guardians of the
Yep.
Galaxy. And I've been only picturing her as that, but she would be too old, I guess, to play that part.
Sure.
Because, she'd have to be like Tom Holland's age.
Yeah.
But, like, that's literally what I'm picturing.
Yes.
And not, like, that her looks really matter into it, but I'm saying, like, she comes across as a franchise reboot character. Since in Back to the Future, we start off in 1985, and then we go back to 1955, I'm thinking this reboot we would start in 2015. See that year, because that's the year they travel to as the future, and it would be a little callback like, oh, now the future is the present, plus that's a close time to now, so we would still relate. So if we're starting in 2015, first of all, I'm thinking of that scene towards the beginning where Marty is at that audition and Huey Lewis is like, oh, you're just too darn loud, right? For Marty's audition in 2015, I was thinking that he would play Johnny B. Good. Because...
Sure. So you get your reference to the original movie.
Your reference to the original movie, but also...
You're not literally recreating the scene.
That, and you could show Marty as this character who's like, everyone's really into the like hashtag soft boy, hashtag cinnamon roll. You don't spend enough time on the internet. So everyone's into that right now. Like, all the girls will be crazy for that. So Marty's like, he likes the old music. He's a bit of an old soul. And then Michael J. Fox will come out with his megaphone and be like, I'm afraid that song's just too much of an oldie. It won't relate to the kids these days.
And the audience that saw the original movie would be like, "Ha ha! I remember because Marty McFly played that song, so it's funny because the same actor's saying he doesn't like it."
I know what that is!
So when they do go back to 1985, I think the entirety of 1985 is just going to be filled with fan service jokes. Like, I have a specific joke that if they remake this movie, I know they're going to try to put in there, but now they can't because this video is on record that I came up with it first. Marty is going to go back and he's going to see 1985 Doc and is going to say, Doc's going to say, tell me, who's president in 2015? And Marty will go, Barack Obama. And Doc will say, the guy from Chicago? Next you're going to tell me the Cubs won the World Series.
But it'll be 2015, so they won't have yet. But
the audience will know they win the next year. Plus, all the fans will know it's a reference to part 2 where the Cubs win the World Series as predicted. Guys. Who do you think they would have direct this? Because I know we've been making some references to JJ's Star Trek fan fiction, and I'm thinking they might want to put JJ Abrams on this.
JJ sounds like a fit for it.
But they might put someone like Paul Feig on it. Now let's talk about, like, how would J.J. Abrams Back to the Future versus Paul Feig Back to the Future differ? They'd both be absolute shit beyond repair. But how do we think they'd be different? Well, lens flares for one thing.
There'd be a lot of lens flares.
JJ's would have like the movie would be like 90% lens flares. What do we think a Back to the Future reboot directed by Paul Feig would look like?
I would hope that he'd have a script this time.
Oh, you mean like dialogue? Like he would
Yeah.
like open up Celtics or Final Draft and use the feature where you can indent to indicate a character's name and then write their lines of dialogue underneath and separate that from the action
Exactly
and the
like
stage
that.
directions. Like he would do that.
Yes.
I wouldn't count on that. Marty's gonna go to 1985 and he's gonna go order a Pepsi. He's gonna say, "Can I have a Pepsi Max?" And they're gonna say, "That's not a size. We only have small, medium, and large Pepsis. Do you want a Pepsi free?" And Marty's gonna go, "You don't have to pay for Pepsi in 1985?" And then Buffy will have that whole scene just go back and forth forever like that because there's no script that says where it ends.
But if you were going to do that scene, the lines you just delivered, that would be the end of the scene.
Not if Paul Feig directed it. If he directed it, then they would just continue to go back and forth like, "Oh, no, you have to pay for the Pepsi. You see, Pepsi Free it's this brand name. But if you don't want that, you can have a tab." And Marty will be like, "How can I have a tab? I haven't ordered anything." And it'll be a role reversal.
Wow.
And it'll go on for 20 minutes. So a studio would have to reboot it. Now, I was thinking studios can be broken into two categories, basically. There are sane movie studios that try to put together well-constructed movies primarily before focusing on the marketing. And then there's Sony.
Well, there's a third one.
What's that?
The Disney school of micromanagement of every aspect of the movie till there's no director left.
Yeah, I guess that's where Star Wars is at right now. Different studios, I think, would approach the concept of using a DeLorean in different ways.
Right, that's one thing I was thinking about is, would they use a DeLorean?
Right.
Would they use some modern car? I feel like it's too iconic.
You have to use a DeLorean, right? But then you run into the problem of, a DeLorean's not a popular car in 2015.
No.
So I was thinking, if Sony came in to work their magic, their movie would be like Doc and Marty having a little improv scene outside the Twin Pines Mall. You built a time machine out of, what kind of car is that?
I've never seen
one like that before.
Oh, here you go. This is a DeLorean. They were popular back in 1985.
Oh, I was thinking...
Back when I invented time travel.
Okay, but Sony wouldn't think that far ahead, I don't think. I think Sony would make some line in there instead where it would be like, "Oh, these cars were popular back in the 80s. They still have them around now and people still like them because of some iconic 80s movie." Because I think that they would think that fans would be like, "Oh, the movie was Back to the Future." And then you'd have all these publications that would be able to hire their freelancers that they underpay to write articles about how that doesn't make sense in universe. It's a brilliant marketing move,
It's brilliant
Tyler.
marketing.
Oh, who's Einstein gonna be? Who's gonna play Einstein? Is it gonna be Chewie? Do you wanna play Einstein in a Back to the Future reboot? Chewie says, "Fuck no! Never gonna be any Back to the Future reboot as long as Chewie's around." At the end, when Marty's playing guitar at the dance, bringing his parents together, what's he gonna play there? What are we thinking?
Well, it can't be Johnny Be Good because you're going to use that earlier.
Don't Stop Believin'.
Oh, God.
He's gonna play Don't Stop Believin'.
That'd be awful.
You know what Marty will play? 1985 by Bowling for Soup. That's what he's gonna play. He's gonna play
Please,
1985.
God, no. ZEMECKIS, please. Cling on to life, no matter what happens.
Hold on.
To that feeling.
When Marty visits George and wants to convince him to go to the dance with Lorraine, he dresses up in his suit and says, "I'm Darth Vader. I've come to you from the planet Vulcan."
Oh my God.
Obviously, that you could get away with that in 1955.
Sure.
In 1985, that would make no sense because all of the Star Trek, Star Wars has all come out already. So, what do we think he would say in that case?
Well, that depends on who has the rights. You know that whoever got the rights to this would not be able to resist referencing their own movies.
Right.
So, like, if Disney had it, they'd be like, "I'm Moana. I come here from Jakku."
The moral of the story is that if immortality exists or is ever going to exist, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale need to be the first people who get immortality. Like,
front of the line.
Anyone else. I don't care what other major groundbreaking life discovery someone's on the cusp of. I don't care if it would be better for society as a whole. Rob and Bob need to be our first two who get immortality above everybody else, because as long as those two are alive and kicking, none of this shit we just talked about will ever happen. So, if you liked our videos, please remember to stomp on that bell. Please remember to subscribe to our channel like you're subscribing to a hot 80s fashion magazine, like you're in Back to the Future. Please give us a thumbs up. Please smash that like, as if it's 2015 in Back to the Future and social media exists, or as if it's 2019 and we're in the real world and social media exists, because it does.
I feel like we're gonna cut all this.
Some of it.
Probably
It's more than Paul Feig would do.